Now I'll show you how to work on Formula 11 and Formula 12 for the double declining balance method. As we're nearing the end of life for the equipment, in this case we're working on year 3, which is Formula 11, we want to make sure that Excel helps us to check whether we're on our last year. Because recall, for double declining balance method, if we're on the last year of depreciation, we want to make sure that we don't take too much off depreciation, that we go over the salvage value. So in a sense, we want the last year to be a plug figure of the cost of assets minus the salvage and the sum of all the previous year's depreciation. So let's go ahead and see if we can input an if statement to ask Excel to test. So we input equals if, open parentheses, and the first part of this statement asks for a logical test. So we want to test our period, which is in B31, period year 3, whether it's equal to our estimated useful life. So if this is true, I want Excel to return the last year double declining depreciation expense for me. So that would be cost of asset, which is in D7, minus your salvage value, and minus the sum of all the previous year's depreciation. So let's review this. So it's going to be D7 minus D8 and minus the sum of all the previous year's depreciation. If B31, which is a current period, is in fact equal to the total number of useful life in years, which in this case is not true. So we go ahead and tell it, what if it's not true? So if it's not true, then we want to go ahead and continue using the double declining balance method, which is DDB, open parentheses, and it tells you what to cell reference. The first one is the cost, input a comma, the salvage amount, comma, the life, and the period, which is in B31, and close parentheses, and we have to close the parentheses 2 times, and input. So 43,750 should be the correct amount. So now let's go on to Formula 12. For Formula 12, we would need to use a nested if statement. I'll give you a hint to start, and then I want you to continue working on this formula. So the first part would be equals if, open parentheses. So the first question we want to ask the logical test is whether our period, which is year 4, is greater than the total useful life, which in this case is 4. If this is true, then we cannot take any more depreciation, right? So we want it to return 0. And then the next part of this needs to be another logical function. So if B32 is not greater than D9, then we want to input an if statement. And be careful that you don't include another equal sign before the nested if. And I want you to go ahead and continue to work on the rest of this nested if statement. So you would need a logical test. If B32 is not greater than D9, then it will enter this if loop, a logical function here. And if this is true, then you return this value. And if this is not true, then else this value. So go ahead and work on this and post any questions in the forum.